All right. So we started this important conversation last week, and I introduced the topic pivoting, pivoting, pivoting. Um, and if you are just joining us for the first time in this series, I would like you to go back. All right. Just the video before this one is the first part of this interesting time. All right. So, and it will be fine for you to have the background of what we are doing so that you can know how we get to where we are right now. I don't like to leave my people, you know, without clarity. I like to bring clarity to whatever conversation we are bringing on board. All right. So last week I was able to define the concepts in just a very simple term, what pivoting is all about. And I was able to tell the people who were in attendance why it is critical to pivot. Basically, I mentioned that life is changing very fast and that there is nothing that originates from man that can last forever. So everything that started with man, except man himself, every other product that comes from his hand is time bound. Is time bound. So for that reality, there are things that used to be in existence before now that are no more. The same way, certain things we are enjoying now in 10 years, 15, 20 years, depending on the relevance and sustainability of those things, some of those things will have either faded away or completely taken out of the scene. I cited examples of corporations that you could confirm online, and those who have spent some time on this part of the earth might be aware of some of those companies. But for the Gen Zs, the companies that I cited the last time, some of you, there's every tendency, except you are working in the field where those companies' name might have been referenced, you practically might not have heard of them. But at some point, those were the happening firms across the world. Are you seeing that? So I wouldn't want to do consecutive review tonight. I just want to take it up from where I stopped last week. So tonight, I want to also bring on board to let you know what pivoting is not. What pivoting is not. Because a lot of times people assume, even people who pay attention to transition, people who pay attention to development, people who pay attention to growth, they often misplace the concept of pivoting as certain things that really that's not what pivoting is all about. For instance, pivoting is not an emergency response to failure. Are we together now? When people fail, you know, naturally, everybody wants to look for a better method to do whatever they are doing. But the real concept of pivoting is not actually what you do after you have failed. As you are succeeding, all right, you need to, the moment you understand the technology of what we are talking about, you will understand why it has to be part of what you put into the process of what you are building. Are you saying that? So pivot is not a response to failure. It's not an emergency response to failure. That's number one. And if that is not clear to you, you will wait to fail before you will learn how to reinvent. Are you seeing that? That's number one. Number two, pivoting is not acceptance of defeat. Because a lot of times when people are moving from one thing to another, you are discontinuing something to start another one. A lot of persons will feel you finally accepted and you are trying to quit. No, that's not what we are talking about. So it's not that you are finally resorted to quitting. No, that's not what pivoting means. Maybe I should run you through corporations that have experienced pivoting. So that will make it clear to you why this is very important. Okay. And like I mentioned last week, sometimes this thing will require that you make a complete U-turn from what you are used to. And that's the reason why it is difficult for a lot of people. We like to be loyal to what we are familiar with. All right. But there are moments you don't also need to make a complete U-turn. You just need to take a detour, a change of approach, a change of perspective, a change of method. Are you seeing that? So it depends on the factors that surround your own peculiar situation to know which way to go and how to go by it. Are we together now? Because pivoting also involves that you may be doing several things at the same time, but at some point, you get to that level where you are now so precise and sure that this is the one I need to start paying attention to. But those who practically did not know you with that one thing you want to focus on, they might be thinking that's your newness. Meanwhile, you are now specializing. All right. Let me give you a very practical example of what I'm talking about. A lot of us don't know that Instagram did not start as Instagram. Oh, no. Instagram was not even designed for uploading of pictures, images, and videos. What Instagram is doing today is just one of the features of what the original app that metamorphosized to Instagram was designed to do. But when the people at the back end began to examine the progress and their trajectory, they realized that, say, of all the features that we are bringing on board, the only one that was gaining traction, the only one that seems to resonate or that seemed to resonate with the people they were trying to serve was the picture sharing and practically videos and all of that. So they changed the name. Now, these are the things you can find out online. Everything I tell people, there are things you can verify. Are you seeing that? So it was after they realized that other features were not really being put to use, then they changed the name of the app to Instagram and modified their service completely. That's a major business pivoting. Are you seeing that? So when people who don't know your history, they are meeting the new you, it is possible that they might not be able to correlate that your new version to whom you have always been. That's why men who have mastered the art of pivoting in their own lives, in the corporations they are building, or whatever things they are involving in, those who have known them before and those who are meeting them for the first time hardly will be able to correlate the people they are the person they are talking about. Because through pivoting, you are creating a new version of yourself consistently. Last week, I spoke to you about how you have to master this act as an individual. Then you need to understand how to translate it even to the businesses you are building. Either you are building a business, you are building a corporation, you are setting up a platform, as the case may be. Are you seeing that now? So the popular Instagram of today did not start as Instagram. The same thing, YouTube. YouTube now that is now the video empire of the whole world. YouTube started as a dating site. You can confirm that. The same YouTube that now, what I'm doing right now, I'm doing it on YouTube. But when YouTube started, what I'm offering now, you see, the live streaming I'm doing now was not part of their vision at all. But today, that has become their mainstay. So moving from what they intended to do to what they are doing today is a practical example of what we call pivoting. Those are the different kind of platforms you can relate with. Even Twitter, now we call it X, right? Twitter did not start as Twitter, no. And it did not start as a platform for short message and all of those writings that people do. Twitter did not begin with tweeting. So when they started, what they had in mind was completely different. But as they were moving on, they realized that, wait, let's begin to check what is going on as we are growing. And at the end of the day, the moment they realized this thing was not going to be sustainable, they moved to the aspect of their product or their service that really resonated with the end user. And they built that and scaled with it. And that is what we have today as that X space where people do it. So I can keep counting, different corporations for you. You can read about that. Different kind of manufacturing companies. Some were building something entirely different and they moved on to something else again. There are major multinational companies that later developed and they were able to come out of business hardship by commercializing what used to be a byproduct, not their major product. Because they got to a point where the major product that the company was known for was not on demand anymore. So the idea is you must be able to come to that consciousness that you owe yourself the responsibility as an individual to be creating a new version of yourself, all right, that must not fade out of relevance. That's as an individual. Then, if you're an employee, last week I told you that there were people in the 80s in Nigeria who were working with the railway corporation. Some of those people, the moment they were laid off from work, they never got another job all their lives. So when they were not at the age of retirement, situation happened, they were laid off, and many of them never had the opportunity to ever rise again. And like I said the other time, I want to say it again to you. There is no guarantee that the job you are doing today, I don't know how glamorous it appears to be. I don't know how much they are paying you there. There is no guarantee that that work you are doing has a future, except the management of your team, they are proficient at pivoting. And if they are proficient at pivoting, which can guarantee the future of the company, if you as an employee, you don't master the technicality of what we are talking about, by the time they transition to their newness, you will be dropped. The corporations that I mentioned that used to be something before and now they're something else, don't ever assume that most of the people who were relevant in their former, identity are still relevant in their new states now. So that is something that does not exclude anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are doing. It doesn't matter the geography where you are executing what you are doing. You must be very, very careful that you are not just complacent, believing that the way everything is happening today, that's the way it's going to be happening forever. No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. Are you seeing that? So there was this corporation too, that started as a game app. That is that we call that thing Slack, SLACK. The guys that built that platform that time, they built it majorly for games, and in fact, in their own case, they failed. In their own case, they failed, but they now went back to check their model. That okay, since this game was not working, what can we do? That was how they transition into what they are doing today. And of course, usually when people transition, in order to create an awareness in the heart of the people, they come up with new names. But you get to know through history that it's the same company, the same board of management. So I'm not talking about when they sell a company to another set of people. No, that's not what I'm talking about. And they now transition into what they have today. So that game company that was failing then, game application that was failing then, is valued to be worth $30 billion today. You can check it out online. 30 billion US dollar. Now imagine if those guys, the moment that gaming application was not functioning for them, they just called it quit. that we've tried. Let's just move on with our life. I I speak to you today. I don't know how much of failures you have recorded. I don't know how much of attempts you have made on many levels and on different occasions that didn't turn out well. I'm here to tell you today that if you can get to know exactly the aspects of your life that situations or fluctuating circumstances cannot take away from you. If you lean into that aspect of your life, it does not matter how hard it appears to be, you will come out better. You will come out better. So, probably what you are doing may not be what you are supposed to be doing. Maybe that's why you have not succeeded yet. And pay attention. I don't like to mislead people. Pay very keen attention. You can do the same thing again and again and get a different result. I've had people say you can, is a popular quote that you cannot do the same thing over and over and again and expect the same result. That's not true. That's not true. You can, in fact, if you do the same thing in different season, you will get different results. For those who are religious, listening to me, they will understand this very well. You can do exactly the same thing. The moment you do it under a different cloud, in a different season of your life, the response is going to be different. So what we are saying today is not that the moment something is not working, leave it and quit. That's not the idea. If that's what you think I've been trying to teach, you are still not getting it. All right. You are still not getting it. So the idea is that have you been able to identify how to predict the next 20, 30, 40 years of the field where you are engaging? The future belongs to the people who will be relevant there, not the people who will be alive. The positive, expectation that the future is creating in our heart is not a general reality. No, it's not. There were people who, at some point, they were multi-millionaires in their currency. They did not die, but they lost all the money. And every effort to grow the wealth again never succeeded or never succeeded. So when those people were waking up or preparing for that season of their life where they went from up and hitting the rock bottom, they did not design it by themselves that by the year 2025, I want to run this business aground. There's nobody that is reasoning like that. When Arthur Anderson failed, you think a corporation that has been in existence with cross-continental relevance of over 100 years, you think it was in their best interest to want to become grounded? Not at all. But reality happens. Life happens. A lot of which you can't even blame yourself for. Yet, if you are not prepared for it, you will bear the consequence even more than the people who caused it. You will bear the consequence even more than the people that caused it. So, what is the take home as I'm driving the point to a close? First, I like to speak to individuals before I speak to corporations. You see, last week I told you that if the place where you are working today, there is none of the things you are doing there that leads you to engage your major unique abilities, don't make that job your totality. It does not matter how much they are paying you. Let me make what I'm saying more lucid so that you understand it. Probably you are working in a bank and you you are you are creative with drawings, making artworks and all of that. It does not matter how rapid your career trajectory has been in that banking system. Don't build your future on it. You may be lucky, all right, to be present in corporations whose relevance will outlive your own existence. Then you are shielded and covered. Such that if you neglect your uniqueness, you neglect your identity, you neglect your talent, so to speak, because that corporation has a future, you may be able to navigate your way and be with them forever. But the question is, what if what something you are not responsible for befalls that corporation? Then what will be your lot? Are you seeing that? So a major part of you must ensure that what gives you fulfillment in life is factored into your daily experience. This is what I'm saying. I believe it's clear enough, but in case it's not yet sinking to someone, listen. For instance, right now, I'm doing a PhD in toxicology. Um, I do a couple of stuff, but you see, each of the combined engagements I give myself to, each of them is enough to keep you busy 24/7. I speak the truth, I lie not. But you see, I'll be deceiving myself to say because I'm being paid to do what I'm doing, I have career trajectory that is working fine in that line. Then this kind of teaching I'm offering today, I decide to short it down. You see, what I'm doing, you are not paying me for it. Are you seeing that? So what pays me to make the subscription to get all the gadgets that I'm using to teach you this is not this platform yet. But because by the time I'm done teaching you right now, I I have that joy of fulfillment. So I don't feel I'm sacrificing for teaching what I'm doing. So the idea is when you close your 9 to 5 jobs, Monday to Friday, what do you do from 5 p.m. when you close that from that job till the next morning, 6 a.m.? Then what do you do on Saturday and Sundays? Because the aspect of your life you have refused to develop will not develop itself. And it will get to a point, the things that come naturally to you, you will be too backward in your delivery, such that even if you are now willing to engage, the world will have evolved more than what you can offer. So, what is the idea? Why, except you don't want to ever use that aspect of your life, but if you care to use that aspect of your life, as you are busy with whatsoever you are busy with, ensure you are servicing that aspect of your life. And how do you service it? I taught that last week. The important thing is be growing that aspect of your life to be consistent with the trend, with the current demand on that abilities that you have. I believe that is clear enough. If it's clear enough to you, put it in the comment box that, yeah, what I'm saying is clear to you. Are you saying that? I remember years back, there was this man. Hopefully, my people are not seeing this video now because those who know me to where I'm coming from, they know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. That man was working with a corporation. Let me leave it at that level. By the time he joined that firm, he was good at what he was doing naturally. So they gave him employment. He was getting salaries and all of that. But this man refused to develop himself until it got to a point where they wrote a letter and gave to him that he had maybe 1 year or so, if I'm not mistaken, to provide the following certifications, this and this. And if he will not be able to do it, he will be laid off. Eventually, they laid him off. And by the time he was laid off, guess what this guy was saying? He was saying that corporation was not loyal to him, even though he was loyal to them. As young as I was, I knew that was a foolish statement. That was a foolish statement. See, what that man could offer at a point was what the organization needed at that level. Through growth, the demand of his office has already outgrown what he was offering. Simple logic requires that he develops himself to catch up. He refused to do that. He refused to do that. And when they couldn't cope with his inadequacy, they have to tell him, man, it is high time to get out of this place. That happened in a corporation. That can happen to you in real life. That can happen to you in real life. While I was in secondary school, most schools in my environment, they always have a very big board with inscriptions, the name of the school, the year the school was founded, the motto of the school, and whatever thing they just want to use to represent the school. And in my community, there were two major people who were very skillful in crafting that. That this is not something you can just draw anyhow. But guess what? The two of them became popular because the moment you needed that kind of service, people will mention their names. The last time I was in town, one of them was still alive. Nobody could give him artwork at all at any level. Do you know why? Even though he had the natural ability, he didn't learn it in school based on what we were told. But because he did not pay attention to ask, this thing I'm doing, how is it being done on a continuum? Because methodology is very critical. When the method expires, if you don't know the new method, you will become equal with people who lack the skill that you have. Even though you have the skill, you have become unskillful because you can't engage with the current demand. That's the first thing as an individual. So stop overrating your ability. It was John C. Maxwell that wrote a book that talent is not enough. There is no man on the face of the earth that is talentless, not one person. Then how many successful people do we have? How many fulfilled people do we have? That you don't need to read the book to know that talent is not enough. That's true. That's true. How many of the unique abilities you have are producing in your life now as you speak? So if talent is enough, why are they not producing? Are you seeing that? So you cultivate your skill and adapt it in a way that is usable in the time that you are existing in. That's number one. Now, if you want to engage professionally in what you are doing, try as much as you can to get certification in the aspect where you are naturally proficient. I remembered in Ibadan that year. Ibadan is in Nigeria. For those who are not from Nigeria and listening to what we are saying right now, there was that guy that the guy couldn't put thread in a needle to sew anything. I'm telling you real life story. But this guy was projecting himself as a major fashion designer. Are you seeing that? He was projecting himself. What was he doing? He basically would speak to people. He was a gifted speaker. He, he was one of those guys who would describe as Prince Charming that time. I don't know how he looks now. I've not seen him in a while. So when you see him, the guy will just tell you that, you see what I'm putting on right now, I made it by myself. Meanwhile, it was a lie. So people will now give him money. He will take their measurement. That was the only thing he knew how to do. Then he will take that, give it to guys who were skillful, and pay them less than 30% of what he has charged. Guess what? He was not even the one that owned the instruments. So the people showing for him were happy that this guy was bringing market for us, not knowing that he was making more money on them. Now, what is the idea? Now, if you are doing that kind of business, don't think I'm trying to say what you are doing is wrong. It's your intelligence. As long as you are not disappointing the end users, that's your business. What you are doing is you have become a middleman. If you're a smart guy anywhere in the world, as a middleman, you can become a millionaire in any currency. But the idea is the guy who never put threads together was making more money than the people who were sitting down from morning to evening making the dresses. What is the idea? No matter how skillful you are, it does not matter how skillful you are. If you don't know how to sell that skill, you will operate at the lowest level of your capacity, except God shows you favor. In my book, I mentioned that everybody that want to engage in any aspect of the society, as long, oh sorry, as much as it is the field where human beings are transacting, you must learn the art of communication. And I cannot overemphasize that. Because if you are not convinced, if you are not convincing rather, in the way you are delivering what you claim to have mastered, the only thing that can bail you out is your product. Then, if you have now failed at one point in time, how do you convince people who had once invested into your business that you still have another plan? Are you seeing the reason why a lot of people can't rise again if they are down once? So that's as an individual. You must ensure. So as I'm speaking now, what I expect that you will be doing, like I mentioned last week, I don't know if it was last week or a closer platform where I was teaching not too long ago, that the natural abilities you have, what is the name of the profession in the 21st century? I think it was not on YouTube. Now, if you don't know it, basically, you know that you are not part of what is happening in the world. You are just there as one of the numbers. Something as basic as this is the name of what I'm doing. You need to know. Then, when you know the names, who are the people operating at the highest level of that thing that you are checking? Because if you don't have models for what you think is in your mind, there is every possibility that you will be distracted at one point or the other. Are we together now? So, as a person, you need to learn how to do this. Then let's now assume you want to remain in that field, probably as an employee, and you want to scale. This is where I'm going to conclude tonight. I took a major class last week titled Strategic Foresighting. And like I told the people that I taught, I paid money in dollars to learn strategic foresighting from one of the best teacher of that in his own field. And what I taught the people were not the things he taught me. Because as he was talking, that's the way I function though. If you are saying A, B, C, I'm hearing A, B, C, D, E. That's the way my mind functions. So there were things the man didn't mention. I said, oh, and I added that to that class. I don't know if the recording is available. Anyways, Gabriel has most of those recordings, and I'm not even trying to share it now. I just want to bring a point from that class. And what I want to bring out is there is nobody that knows the future more than these two set of people. The first is God. Everybody knows. That's the one who sits at the end, commanding the beginning to start. So if you have a relationship with God, and that relationship is cordial, people of God, you are not supposed to be stranded for once in your life. You may not agree with me, but if you disagree with that, it means you have undermined God in his supremacy. Because if he knows the future, he knows what's going to happen in 2055. So are you saying he can't, steer your mind to perceive? Not necessarily telling you that this is what's going to happen in 2025. No, that's not the way it functions most of the time. The idea is it will just begin to move you to take steps that will be relevant in that year. So the moment you refuse, probably you don't even have the infrastructure to pick what is in. You are already accepted from the equation 100%. Or you are the type that is recalcitrant to change. You are not flexible. When it begins to give you nudgings, take this new step, add this onto this, you are saying to yourself, I just feel. You will be feeling everybody will leave you behind. That's good. But the second part of the people that can simulate the future correctly are the people who are creating it by themselves. This is exactly what has made the Western world to remain the power centers. While certain countries are just reacting to happenings, some people are the ones creating that thing the rest of you are reacting to. So because now they are not the one creating everything, but the part they are creating by themselves, they know the antidote they are going to offer as a solution, and the people will have to come and buy. There are certain conversations we can't bring on board. If we bring it on board, it doesn't matter the number of subscribers said this platform may be down before next tomorrow. But these are facts. These are facts. So, and what am I trying to bring out to you? What exactly is your role in the grand scheme of things? Such that, is there something coming from you that can introduce a change in your feed or in the world? Maybe the world may look so big to you, depending on the size of your vision. But are you part of the people creating something that will be part of the future? Because that is your bailout. That is guaranteed. That is the whole idea of creativity. That is the whole idea of creativity. If you've been consistently poor for a long while as an adult, and that poverty has not led you to tap into a resource inside of you once, You are not a good thinker, no matter who is encouraging you. And never assume that comfort will make you discover yourself in that level, to that level. Because a lot of times when people are deprived, they just can't continue like this. Something needs to happen. This is not survival again. I mean, how can we continue this way? Then certain parts of your internal faculties are activated. And do you know why? Ideas, everything that will happen in the world in years to come, they had been dispensed as snippets of information and signals moving through the air. So there is a lifestyle that you can choose. You will never be able to host any of those ideas. And there is a lifestyle you can choose that consistently those ideas will be coming to your space. And if you can choose the lifestyle that can make you to host those ideas and know how to translate those ideas to product and services, it does not matter what is happening. It is only when you die that you can lose relevance. This is part of the protocol of God that can make him assure his people that they will be called eternal excellency. They were not the ones who called themselves that. He called them eternal excellency. That is an excellence demonstration that does not fade away. Not the one that I remember some 30 years ago. No. Your current form is bringing something solid. So if you are a believer listening to me, this is part of the heritage of the faith you have accepted. But it's possible it's not even part of what you're exploring. And if you're a non-believer, I'm also inviting you to the experience that there is a God who knows the future. If he directs you, that is the only guarantee you have that the future is preserved. That's the only guarantee. The best of man is limited. And finally, tonight, I want to speak to people who are building startups. In the recent times, I've spent my time trying to, you know, especially when I go to the United States, just trying to read about some guys that God, how did people get to this level? Hmm. Number one, if you are working on a startup right now, the first advice I will give you is not even looking for people who are going to fund your idea. No, no, no. The first question I will ask you is, how passionate are you with that thing you want to build? I'm trying to ask you that if there will be no profit in the next 5 years, will you leave the idea or not? If your answer is yes, that if there is no profit in the next 5 years, you are committed to that thing, then welcome on board. Then welcome on board. In the scriptures in Habakkuk, the Bible says, for the vision is for an appointed time. At the end, it shall speak. That end, only a few people or only very few people wait to see that end. People give up in between. And there is no motivational speaker, no pastor can encourage you, all right, that everything in your hands will work. That's not true. Everything in your hands, they are going to work if you are willing to pay the price. If you are willing. If you are not willing, just you just look promising and never fulfill the promise. And that will not be your portion. So that's number one. How passionate are you to ensure that that thing works? Number two, what exactly is the incorporation of that thing to technology? I listened to a man recently and he said something that was so critical. He said, everybody in these days and time is in tech company. I may not be able to quote him verbatim. I was trying to, I could see some people in the comment box here. Let me take this time to acknowledge them. These are my big, these are my big people. Everybody here, you are big, you know. I can see Kenneth Obunadike. That man is a PhD student of business management in the United States. I salute you, Baba. Shout out, man. I call him my manager, you know, and he's going to really be my manager because the intelligence is on another level. Thank you, Baba, for showing up tonight. I can see my sister and my friend's wife, the lady Ife. Pivoting is not an emergency response to failure. I see you. I see you. Thank you. Thank you. I salute everybody. You know, Pastor George, I see you there. All right. So I was saying something. Now that's the challenge. I can be I can be easily swayed from what I'm saying. I was talking about building a startup, right? Cool. I spoke about, are you passionate about it? What was the next point I was talking about? If you can remember, put it in the comment box. Okay, yeah. I was speaking about the man that said everybody's in tech. And basically, what that man was saying is that there is nothing that will be part of the future if it is not technologically driven. And I believe that's simple enough for everybody to understand. If it is not technologically driven. So some of you, you are so good at what you do that you don't even need to go and be looking for one aspect of your life to build. All you just need to do now is, what role is technology playing in this field where I'm engaging? Your pivoting will now be among the people who know how to use that technology. Some of you, that's the only thing you need to do. Just that. That how can I translate this skill? That is, you are not using just your hand. You are using technology to accomplish what you were doing with your hands. That's pivoting, in case you don't know. Because that may cause you to need to enroll for certain programs. Not just certification, it is what that training is doing to you. At the end of the training, what kind of person would you have become? That's what is important. Yeah. Lady first said tech is not just an industry, it has to be layered on anything you are currently doing. Perfect. That's just the summary of what I'm trying to say. And maybe I can begin to now wrap up from here. If you have any question, just indicate first in the comment box that you have a question and start typing it so that I can read it and answer. We have just less than, this is already almost an hour, right? Are we together now? So that may be the pivoting that some of you need. There are people doing PhD. I'm talking about PhD in advanced world, not the PhD in certain mushroom part of the world. But it will be as though they have wasted all the time they are spending in graduate school by the time the new phase of the industry where they will get job will emerge. So you have a PhD, but If a bachelor's degree holder can be proficient more than you in that job, why should we hire you? If you've been hired before, that young person has to displace you. And your advantage when you are older with higher degrees ought to be that you know what the new generation knows and know what they don't know. That ought to be the advantage of older people. But unfortunately, as people are growing older, they are so, you know, not flexible enough to adjust to the new settings. So new kids in the block, we need to replace them in the eye of everybody. Sometimes there are people who have been working in certain companies for 25 years. New people will be talking, they won't even be able to relate with what they are saying. Those are people who have missed the reinvention processes of their lives. Evidently, you won't know all their slangs because you are existing in different generation. But when you are smart, the ones required for your optimal and efficient delivery must be factored into your operation. That is what pivoting is about. That is for those who choose to stay in the place where you are operating. No, you can be part of that future. You are also becoming a new person consistently. And finally, some of you need to quit where you are working. But I'm not in the position because I've not diagnosed your condition to be able to speak affirmatively that you should leave what you are doing. Go and check history. You can Google it. Google is not, I'm not here to recite Google News to you, but you can Google people who have moved on from what they were doing that people even felt they were good at those things and they move on to something else. At least in America here, we've seen people who were in movie production that later moved into politics and largely successful. And when they ask them, they just want to exhibit leadership, basically, and give back to the people. And give back to the people. So that's where we're going to stop tonight. I'd like to appreciate everybody, wherever you're joining us from across the nations of the earth. Thank you for your time. Um, you know, Sometimes I get distracted with this network. I was live here for 12 minutes and I was trying to watch on another device. I couldn't hear myself. And it was showing that I was live. But eventually we were able to get through at the end of the day. So and I believe the moment was worth it for you. If it is worth it, put it in the comment box. And I didn't see any comment that suggests to me that we don't have any question. And if there is no question, I would like to call it a day there. Again, if you still have questions, the room is still open. Just put it there that you have a question. I'll know that I'm waiting for your question to come up. Yeah, those who have been here at other times, they know how we do it. Yeah, thank you. All right. So, since we've come to the end of this live stream without question, then I'd like to draw the curtain here. And for those who are joining this channel for the first time, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. If what we are discussing makes some sense to you, which I believe they do, try to share the videos with somebody else, invite other people. Then, if you are here right now, like the video too. That's part of what you can contribute to us. So most of the time, Sunday evening, I have meetings with some guys in closed door meeting. And when the conversation is something I can take to the public, like a general conversation with general application, we come up online here So you can click the notification button so that you will be notified anytime we are going live. Till I see you again, I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye for now. Have a great week ahead.